Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Captain America issue 25. And this was a big, beefy kind of issue because there's two stories in it. One that deals with what we've mainly been going through with the power brokers and everything like that. And another one that's just a kind of one off story that changes up the art style and does an interesting story that I really like. So, the first part of this issue deals with what they got to do in Madripoor. And we see that Sharon is pretty much narrating over all of it. We see her views on like Alexa Lukin as she went from Daughter of Liberty to pretty much power crazy kind of person, as we see pretty much how Sharon was kind of dealt with by Celine and Alexa. And kind of like her whole kind of history with like Peggy and how they've got this weird kind of triangle kind of history going on. And we see that they get Sam Wilson to infiltrate first and kind of deal with a lot of stuff, and she gets to vicariously kick ass through him. But they want to make sure that they've got someone in there doing what they need to do. And it's really nice seeing Sam's suit and being a kind of like stealth kind of style in this one bit, and just how the mask looks when it's kind of just covering his whole face, and how he's like, it just works very well, and I really like how the art kind of translated that. And then they're pretty much figuring out the rest of the kind of plan. They're like, okay, we got to take out the airfield and make sure that's kind of used as a nice kind of distraction, because of course the Red Skull's the big bad. He's done all these horrible things, but you also got to go after Alexa as well. So they set up Bucky to pretty much go on that, and Cap's like, all right, take it out, because Madripoor with an air force is a calamity, and they need to take care of that as well. So Bucky starts that kind of going off. They're figuring out what's going on, and Alexa's like, all right, we kind of have to deal with this. Sin's, of course, like, let's go to the airfield and deal with this. It's like, that's what they want to do. It's the distraction and everything. Let's hold off. So we see that Sharon and Steve start going in. Sharon drops in her suit. Steve uses a teleporter. She, of course, makes the quip that that's for an old man. He's like, yep, it's exactly that. And she's kind of lamenting on the fact that she thought that she kind of wanted to be born in a more adventurous time, that like all the great wars were over, and well, hate springs eternal as they're dealing with the rest of the forces that are like the Baron Zemo slash like uh, Confederate kind of mass that are all on them. The Watchdogs, there we go. They haven't been popped up in a kind of hot minute, so that's why I kind of was like, okay, there we go. And they're dealing with them. We had seen that Sharon was pretty much commenting on how Alexa had helped to teach Peggy how to be ruthless and everything, but the biggest kind of strain between them is that they both love their countries. And of course, that was going to put them on a collision course because of what Alexa would do to save her country versus what Peggy would do to save hers, and how that would kind of change them. And she, of course, is talking about like comparing herself to Peggy with their relationships with Steve. But of course, back during World War II, it was never more than like heavy petting and dalliances, whereas Peggy was more committed to doing the stuff with the Daughters of Liberty. But that Sharon and Steve, of course, do a lot of other stuff and make and do a lot of teamwork together. Probably more so than Peggy, at least at this point. At least how Sharon is talking about it. And of course, we see that Alexa is looking in and being like, is he as good as you remember? And Peggy's like, better. And she's able to like get out of her restraints and like take out Sin and Crossbones. And of course, we see that Sharon is talking about how many lives that Peggy has lived, and that she wouldn't hesitate to give up her life if she knew she needed to do that. And of course, I keep saying that. We transition and we see her fighting up and getting towards Alexa's helicopter to take her out, but we see that she gets blasted off, and we don't quite know what happened. We see that Peggy's pretty much falling down from the sky, making it look like she's at least severely injured, possibly dead, but we don't know if she was able to do something to take out Alexa. And that's where the main issue ends. I'm like, alright, can't wait to see what goes on with that. We shift over and we see that Steve is at the funeral of this guy, Sung, and evidently they had been friends for many years. And we see that after he had been like out of the ice, he like walks into this diner. He had his suit on, but of course he was still trying to hide it because his identity wasn't public at that point. But Sung, who was working at the diner, had saw it and said like, "Yeah, anything you want, I'll make it. You're good here." And they just started coming back and forth and starting like learning each other's history. How he was an immigrant who was a lawyer in his previous homeland and was working to get himself to be a lawyer here in the U.S. and everything that he kind of had to deal with that and to help provide for his family and all that. And it's really kind of cool. I like these kinds of stories with Steve because it really shows how connected he is with people and what he does for people. And they would just talk about everything and all the things that they needed to do, the differences between like World War II and the different kinds of shades of gray in America about like people being discriminated against and everything. Like we see that they don't want these certain kind of peoples in these neighborhood. He gets of course denied for like bank loans and all that, and they keep going back and forth throughout the years, and then it gets to the point where Secret Empire happens, and Steve was at his lowest point, and he, of course, Sung asks why he still does it, and of course he brings up at the funeral then as he's talking about it, because he had just gotten the diagnosis, and like, yeah, I was trying to cheer him up, but in the end he cheered me up because of everything that happened, saying that like he doesn't do it for the president, the flag, or the country. He does it for the dream of what America represents, and that really gets to the heart of Steve. I'm like, yes, that's why he does it. That when this country was founded by the founding fathers, they were imperfect men, and there's going to be imperfect stuff going on, and that we need to try and strive for the dream and try and fight for that, and that's what Sung did, and that's what everybody else should do. And he had also given him this marker of like great places to go around in America, and we see that Steve keeps that on him at the end as a keepsake from his friend and to help him get through the world, and it's like really nice and everything. I'm like, wow, that was a nice, great story. So even though this is a more expensive issue, it's definitely worth it because both stories are really good. I like where we're going on the main one. Can't wait to see kind of where they're dealing out with the whole Alexa, Peggy, and all that, and Steve having to deal with the Red Skull, and this little one of Steve just having this different kind of friend and giving him a nice eulogy at his funeral. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.